TheFrunchRoom, MarlowKubic here, the outdoorsy version. Of course, my wife, Marlo, my own person, Yoko, is not with me today. She's on assignment. And I'm here in my hometown on the southeast side of Chicago.
Southeast side rules.
Right near my childhood home, just about a block and a half away, in Mann Park. And if you're not familiar with the southeast side, the town's called Hegewisch.
Hegewisch.
The proper way to pronounce that is Hegewisch. A lot of people just say Hegewisch. But I know this for a fact because all my neighbors and all the Polish people that we grew up with, all the Polacks, all the ethnic types within this hometown of mine on the southeast side, a wonderful place to grow up through the 60s, 70s. My father was born here in 1921 in Hegewisch. They say Hegewisch, and that's what it is. Southeast side rules. Mann Park. This is where I used to play. This was considered miles and miles from my house, even though it's only a block and a half. But when you're a child, it seems farther than what you would imagine because you're a little kid. Mann Park, the field house right behind us, this is the playground area, which has changed quite a bit. And if you're from Hegewisch and remember Mann Park, the swings were gold. The swings were gold, and now they have those kind of rubber slats that hug your ass. Well, back in the day, they just had a wooden plank. You could stand on it, you could sit, you could jump off of them. So they have an array of swings here still, but they've kind of built it up a little bit with these kind of garden boxes, and quite nice actually. Our when the playground, when we were here, it was more or less kind of lawn, dirt, and a mixture, and there was a big sandbox here. I remember my mother just plopping me in the sandbox and forgetting about me for the afternoon, letting me tan. But Mann Park here in the front room, the outdoorsy version. And if you know me, I'm not much of the outdoorsman, never was. But it turned out to be nice. I left the house today and it was stinking hot. Still, the humidity was high, but it seems to have, like the Red Sea has parted for me here weather-wise in Mann Park. The park itself looks remarkable, very good condition, even compared to when I was here. I remember a lot of the baseball diamonds were, if you'd hit a ground ball, it'd be like pew, 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 and you'd be running, you'd break your ankle, things of that sort. One thing they are missing here are the monkey bars, which I miss. They have other types of devices here that I'm not familiar with, I've never seen. Modern stuff, all looks very safe. They have like wood chips and soft landings everywhere, and the monkey bars were just right about here off to my right. Made of metal. I think they just had some park guy. They said, go build some monkey bars, and they came out with some pipe. They went over to Anyo's Hardware in Hegewisch, picked up some pipe, and just started stranding it together with wire and with bolts and sharp edges. And they're like, it's fine. The kids will be fine. We were fine. We made it without any helmets of the sort. But here in the front room, yes, you know, the other day I was mowing the lawn at my house, and I saw a couple kids on bikes. Right, there's a couple kids on bikes. And they seemed to be loitering, which was a very integral part of growing up for me, was loitering. That's what you did. We loitered. Well, these kids, they were maybe 7th grade, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, somewhere around there. But they were on bicycles. I'm mowing the lawn, and they're kind of looking at me. I'm looking at them. I'm like, what are these guys doing, these kids? Then I finally put 2 and 2 together, and I got 4. That's remarkable. I'm pretty good at math. Usually I get 5. And what they were doing, there's a young girl that lives across the street, right across the street from our house. And I think they were stalking. Now, the thing is, they were riding their bikes around, kept circling. And I'm mowing the lawn. I have 5,000 square feet of lawn to mow, so it's taken me a while. And these kids are coming around. Then they stop on the corner, because I live on a corner lot. And this young girl, which I started putting 2 and 2 together to get 3, the young girl lives right on the corner opposite side. So I'm checking them out, and then I see they're texting. So these kids are riding these fancy bikes they have now. I don't know what they are, mountain bikes? Maybe I have no idea. I think I have a mountain bike that I bought 22 years ago. I don't really ride my bicycle either. Not the outdoorsy type, more indoorsy drinker type, my wife and I. So I'm watching these kids, and finally I realize, okay, they're texting this girl. Now, she lives with her parents and grandparents in the same house. So these kids, I finally figured out they're stalking. They're waiting for her to either come out, and I could see they're texting. And it took me back to years back, admiring someone you had a crush on from afar. You know, we've all done it, right? You admire someone and then you kind of stalk, but we didn't call it stalking back in the 60s. So you would admire someone from afar or tell your friends, see that girl about 2.5 blocks away? I like her, but don't tell her. So that's what these kids were doing, but in the new fashion with cell phones, because we didn't have cell phones. The only thing we had, they had some nice bikes. I don't know what these bikes are called. They're kind of the bikes you go up, you go the half pike or whatever it is, half pint. I'm used to the half pint. It's kind of those bikes, those XL bikes. I don't even know what they're called. See, I'm way behind. I'm 61 years old. What do you want from me? When I was a kid, we had bicycles. I had the big red bicycle. That was the first real bike I had. Then eventually, as you got a little older, 7th, 8th grade, the banana seat bikes with the high handlebars were in. Dad, can I please? I got the old English racer, the Red Flame. It's nice. It's a 26-incher and all. But everyone's driving the banana seat bikes. And as it turns out, I was a pretty tall kid. I should have stuck with the red hot bike. So at that time, if you had the banana seat bike, you were in like Flint. If you don't know what that means, you're going to have to Google it. I know the old timers will. Back then, if you just had the bike, you were in. That was it. All you needed was the bike. If you're really cool, you had the headlight with the little bottle that has the spin around it that rubs up against the tire. So when you pedal, the light goes on, because we didn't have all this LED stuff. We had those carbon batteries. Okay, if you had a headlight with batteries, it takes 17 D batteries, and those carbon ones would leak all over, and the light would last for about 14 minutes, and then you're done. So kids today are lucky. But we didn't have a cell phone. We couldn't even use the regular phone. If you had the bike, a light, and that little bottle thing, you were cool. If you had a speedometer, forget about it. Speedometer on a bicycle. I remember I think my father eventually bought me one. I just used to pedal as fast as I could to see if I could get it up to 30 miles an hour. This is what we did when we were children in the 60s. So these kids have these bikes. They're probably $300-$400. Then they have each a cell phone, a smartphone. They're texting this girl, trying to get, and we would drive by, and I couldn't whistle, but we'd throw rocks at the window, maybe put the balloon, get that balloon and put it against your wheel so it sounds like a motor. That was cool. That, or you get the playing cards with the clothespin, and you somehow put it by the spokes, and it goes. I think the most high-tech thing I remember having as a kid back then in the 60s were those walkie-talkies. The walkie-talkies, I remember I saw them in the catalog. We used to look through the catalog. Once we got past all the women's lingerie and underwear, we'd find, look at this, walkie-talkies, GE, General Electric. They have to be good. That's top shelf. Dad, can I get them? This is in spring. He's like, for Christmas you'll get them. Well, we need them for summer, man. I remember the ones I had were gray. They had a button on the side. Very Man from Uncle type. And then they had an antenna, the big steel antenna. Now you don't even see antennas on anything. We had the big steel antenna we have to lift up. Had a button. And it took 17 D batteries, those carbon ones. They would last for 10 minutes. But then when you looked in the catalog, you said, oh my God, these walkie-talkies, you could be a quarter mile away and talk to each other. A quarter mile. When I was a kid in the 60s, a quarter mile, that was from here to California in our eyes. And my mom wouldn't let me take anything outside. You're not taking those outside. Don't even take them out of the box till you're going to use them. Mom was like that with all the stuff we got. I remember I had my drum set, my first drum. I'm going to go jam down this. You're not taking those out of the basement. No way. Well, how am I going to gig? I got drums. You got to take them out. I remember we started playing these little bands, Kids on the Block. We'd play garage bands, right? We'd get in the garage and do a gig. And I remember so badly we wanted to do Magic Carpet Ride by Steppenwolf, and we needed the organ. The big Hammond organ with that blaring sound. And my friend Bob lived over here on Escanaba, just about a block from where I'm sitting right now. The family had the organ in the living room, like a piece of furniture organ. I don't know what you call it, a Wurlitzer or whatever. So they had the big Wurlitzer. I go, Bob, I didn't know you played organ, man. I go, you got to get that. I was in his house. I go, let's haul this thing out of here. Come on, we're doing a gig on the corner in the garage. He's like, dude, what are you talking about? My mom will kill me if you even say that. I go, no, she's at work. She won't know. How are we going to get this out? We're 8 years old, 9 years old. I said, we could do it. I know a guy. I know my friend Jocko. He has a trailer. He'll sort it out for us. He'll help us out. That never came to fruition, unfortunately. Eventually, we found out our friend Kenny down the block had a Farfisa organ. But the walkie-talkies, oh my God, big shot, walkie-talkies. I brought them out. Springtime finally hit. I got the 17D batteries for the one walkie-talkie and the 17D batteries for the other walkie-talkie. We stuffed them in there. And then I had my friend, I don't want to mention his name, but Jimmy Pazuchuk, my best friend that lived right across the street. I said, Jimmy, forget the BB gun this year. We got walkie-talkies. He's like, holy shit. You got to be kidding me. I said, come on. I go, what's a quarter mile? He goes, I don't know. What's a quarter mile? We're kids. Next time we go in the car with Dad, watch the odometer, right? We'll figure out what a quarter mile is. So we took him out. We're creeping around the neighborhood. Midday, we said, okay, pull out the antenna. Pull the antenna all the way up. It's like 17 feet, 17 batteries high, gray with the button on the side. We turn it on. I go, how do you got to turn that squelch down? I'm a squelch. I never heard of squelch. Turn the squelch down. Okay, now, Tim, can you hear me? Yeah, I could hear you. Okay, we're right next to each other. Why don't we go a little farther away? Okay, I'll go over to Mr. Dow's house. Okay, I'll go over to Smogus's. So then we go on one gangway and we leave 2 houses in between. And I go in the other gangway. I'm like, Jim, are you there? He's like, that's all I heard. I go, these are screwed up. I go, Jim, are you there? Read me. He's like, I'm like, damn, we're only 2 houses apart. Finally, we figured out you can't, a quarter mile if there's a clearing of a quarter mile, nothing in the way. The houses, the bricks blocked out the signal, so we have to always, okay, so let's do the spy stuff and we could see each other, but at least we could hear each other. So I said, go down to Carol Luthane's house, and I'll go over to Steve Gould's house. But we'll be on the street. Clear. Sure enough, it was like, Jim, you there? Yeah, read you loud and clear. So that was exciting. This was high tech for us in the 60s. These walkie-talkies, General Electric. So funny, all the high tech stuff that we have out now. And I know I complain about high tech because I'm not really a high tech guy, and I said that in the last episode or so. But back in the day, high tech, you always had, I never was one to buy the first thing that came out. We had record players when we were kids, 45s, then 33 LPs came out. Oh, we got how many songs on it? 5 songs on each side, 12 songs, 13 songs on a record. 33. We're used to the 45s. My sister had the record player. She'd stack up like 75 45s on that little center spindle and try and get as many plays out of so she didn't have to go and change it. And then the LPs came out, 33 and a third. We better wait. I want to wait to see if this thing works first. That's my mentality. I was never one to jump on something. And then for cars, they had the 8-track tapes. Oh my God. 8-track tapes. I think I got an 8-track tape when cassettes were coming in. This is how far behind I always was. Plus, I didn't have the bread for that. But there was always some gimmick, always some high-tech thing. Okay, you got the 8-track tapes. You just can't use the car speakers that come from the factory. You have to get the Jensen triaxle speakers. But first, they had the Jensen coaxial. Jensen coaxial speakers. Where do I get those? I don't know. Maybe Pat down the street steals them. We can maybe get them there hot. You'd have to go to some auto sound place. They had one off Torrance Avenue years back. Auto sound place. You can't get them at Sears? No, they don't carry Jensen. Jensen is high-tech coaxial. So you buy the coaxials. 2 weeks later, oh, you should see they got the Jensen triaxles. I'm like, damn, I can't keep up. I don't remember the price of those, but you'd have to go in the trunk and take the thing off of the back dashboard, and then you'd have to install them and if there was anything else, you have to run wires. How do I get wires from here to the front? You got to take the carpeting out, put it under the carpet. It was a big production. Always something high-tech. I had a friend who bought everything that he had the Playboy magazine. You know how when you have the Playboy magazine, this is when we were a bit older, and it had all the high-tech stuff for the bachelors. Remember, they had those pages like the self-smoking ashtray and all kinds of gizmos like that. A lot of stereo stuff. Pioneer, Quad. My friend went Quad. He bought all that before he even checked it out. I gotta get it. I gotta get Quad. And then, of course, you get it and it didn't pan out quite as well as you thought. It's the same thing. CBs came out. We had to have CBs. CBs. I go, what do I need? I'm not a trucker. Then that whole truck thing with the CBs, all a scam, all an angle. Some outfit has an angle, wants to take you to the cleaners, and they're doing it to this day. Now, if I was back at the TFR set in Brantwood Studios, I'd show you. I have an old makeup case, Samsonite, from my sister. You open it, baby blue. You open it up, and I have it loaded with cables from all the computers, because I started getting into computers more on the home computers in 1997. I bought the first, my lovely wife, Marlo, my own person, Yoko, bought me that iMac that looked oblong, somewhat like a oblong thing, all colored, different colors you could get them in. Weighed about 75,000 pounds. The screen was 14 inches. All that. That's where you get into video editing. When I first got into it on a home basis, and you learn to do it yourself type thing. Now it's just easy. Then that crapped out. Then you got to buy another computer. Then I want to do more video editing, and then I bought a bigger computer, and then I went back. Now I'm reverting back to buying less and less and less and less and less. Then, of course, when they get you, this is what kills me, and I know they want to make money at it, but it kills me, is all the different cables, and they're doing it to this day. You have to have the USB cable. I'm like, USB, what is this, like an extension cord? I have extension cords downstairs. No, it's a USB cable. It has a little half-round moonded thing and a flat thing on one side. Fits right into the computer, hooks up to your mouse, and then it hooks up to something else, that kind of thing. Then they changed those USB cables. Then they changed them to be square-fitted, right? So then you got to dump all those cables, and you have to buy new cables for the new thing. And if you have an old printer, that USB cable now doesn't fit. You got to get a converter. So they went from that. Then they had the HDMI cables, and that's to hook a TV to this and that. So HDMI cables. I just found an HDMI cable this morning, and I think I spent $47 for an HDMI cable just to show videos off a laptop on the big TV. And I used it once. This is where they're getting me. It's killing me. Then they had the firewires. Remember, you had a camera, and then they had a regular firewire. Then they came out with the miniature firewires. Why did they change it? Just make them miniature to start with, or make them large to start with, and stick with it for about at least 10 years. Then they had Thunderbolt. Now Thunderbolt, I'm like, what's Thunderbolt? I have 75 USB cables. So now the other day, just to do this, I'm doing this on my iPhone, and I have this mic here, and they used to have a little slot on your iPhone that you could plug in for headphones, like that little miniature, not quarter-inch, eighth-inch, whatever the hell it is, that you could plug in. They eliminated that on the new phones to put this Thunderbolt connection in. So I got to buy a Thunderbolt thing to go out to listen with headphones. Then I said, can I connect the mic? No, I got to buy an iRig preamp. Now I'm going to use this once or twice, and that's $34. I just got it the other day. This is how I'm coming to you off my phone. I just figured it'd be easier to do it on phone. In Fork. Yeah, we're actually filming in Fork. That's 4K. I don't even know what that means. They always get you. It's always, just can you leave? You got the old wall phone years ago. Ma Bell. The phone, my mom, if I go to my childhood home, it's probably still on the wall, and it still works. No updating, no upgrades, no new cables. The same cable from the time I lived there till the time I left, till my parents sold the house, and it was there before I was born. The thing that kills me, my parents had an old tap-in stove with the oven one big unit. It was 4 burners, the oven built into the bottom, had a little thing with a clock on it, and you had a dial for the oven. You just push it in and turn it to 475. A little light sometime would come on around the dial itself, and then the oven would start going. Was there something wrong with this dial? It worked for how many years? Thousands of years, ever since ovens were invented, right? So now we got a new oven at the house. And what do they put? They put the digital LED. You got to push the button. You got to scroll up and down. When it has a button. Ours has a button on the side. You press bake. So it goes to bake, and then it tells you, okay, you're at 375. So I need it at 450. So instead of just going to 450, no, what do you have to do? You got to sit there like a dope and go beep, 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 like every increment, 5-degree increments. Beep, 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 beep. Like a dope, you're sitting there. What's wrong with the dial? Just go, you're there. 475, no one knows. What I have to, is this a warning system, the beeping, to let everyone in the house, he must be cooking again. Cooking something really hot because there's a lot of beeps coming from the kitchen. Never quite understood. Just leave the dial. What's wrong with the dial? More crap could go wrong with the digital thing. That's why. More money to fix it, right? More cash. That's what they're looking for. That's what they're looking for. Same with my overhead fan. I have an overhead fan. I bought the cheapest one. Cheapest one you could imagine I bought. It's just a fan with 2 buttons, 2 speeds, lights, dim and bright. Simple. I bought it at Lowe's. I would have bought it locally, but they didn't have one. They have all these high-tech fans to put above your stove. It's a fan. I just need something to suck it up through the attic, out through the chimney that we have. Ours sucks out. So I buy it. I say, well, this is a simple one. It'll fit. It's black. It looks good. Has the old-fashioned, you just pull out the filter and you're there. You're done. You clean them, throw them in the dishwasher. So I installed the whole thing, put it up. And then one day I went to cook some eggs, and I flipped the fan on, and the light's flashing. Beep. Beep, beep. It's doing this thing. Beep. I'm like, oh, my God, what is that? It's light, dim, and bright. The fan speed, slow and fast. Beep. Beep. This blue light's flashing right around the button. Beep, beep. Like a double flash to a single flash. So I have to go online for the instructions for an overhead hood fan for your stove. I go there online, which takes me about 15 minutes to find it. You got to scroll through everything, scroll down, scroll up. Could have just given me a pamphlet, but they don't do that. You have to go online now, or call your son or daughter to go online for you if you're not computer savvy. So I look it up, and you have to reset it. This happens every month or two. So you got to sit there, hold it for 5 seconds like a dope. Some guy that thought of it on Madison Avenue in New York is just sitting there going, everybody in the United States is holding this button for 5 seconds for all. This annoys me. One other thing I want to say. What is the deal with the shark infatuation? Why is everybody enamored with sharks? A lot of issues with sharks. There's been a lot of shark bites this year alone. One girl lost her life, got chopped in half right in front of her family. They couldn't rescue her. Scuba diving or snorkeling. It's been happening everywhere, off the coast of North Carolina to Florida, even up to Cape Cod. I just saw on the news today in Cape Cod, up in Massachusetts, they have a store that's just shark stuff, all shark crap. They are a booming business. People come up there to watch great white sharks. People go in the water to watch sharks. Listen to me. Don't mess with sharks. It's not like a little puppy. All right, puppies might gnaw. Cats a little more vicious, like, oh, get off that. Sharks, they'll just take a foot off. No petting. You don't get anything out of it. Leave the sharks alone. I just don't get the whole shark thing. Why does the human race insist on invading animals' spaces? They just do. A hornet's nest, let me stick my head in there. Some kid was messing around with buffalo. Listen, my parents took me to what's that big rock with the presidents, Mount Rushmore? When I was a little kid, my parents, there were a buffalo around. I saw it from the car. I said, listen, don't stop the car, just keep going. This kid gets out of a car. They're in some zoo with buffalo. It's a buffalo. They're huge. They have horns or something, and they'll lift you and throw you around and impale you on their horn or bite you or something, or stick their hoof on you and smash your stomach. Don't mess with animals. Don't go in their space. Now, sharks, we don't swim all that swiftly, us humans. Why is everyone infatuated with water, with the outdoors? Man was outdoors since the beginning of time. For years, the cavemen were like, God, does this suck? It's too cold, it's wet, it's damp, it's humid. We need something. What's that hole in the rock? There's a cave, let's go in there. How can we improve it? Put some hay on the floor. Start a fire, it's all smoky. We'll build a fan. What's a fan? We figured out houses. Everyone, we got to go outside. I don't mind it outside. If today's perfect. There's no humidity, there's no wind, there's no bugs. I could sit here comfortably, not bad. Do I want to eat outside? Nah, I'll sit at the table inside. Do I want to stay outside all day? No, I have a house. Why did I pay $180,000 for a house and want to stay outside all the time? I might as well just said, the house. I'll live outside. This is in the same thing with the water. Everyone I gotta go in the water. That's why we have swimming pools. There's a big swimming pool behind us, indoor. They open up the doors. You could be indoor, outdoor. Temperature controlled. No sharks. No jellyfish. No swordfish. No triggerfish. So please stay out of the water. The sharks, that's their home. That's their home. And you know for a fact that you have the right to shoot someone if they break into your home or walk into your home by accident. It's happened. Somebody breaks into your house, you kill the guy. What are you doing in my house? What do you think the shark's thinking? What the hell are you doing in my water? I'm hungry. You're perfect. You've been in the front room with MarlowKubic, my lovely wife, Kat Marlow. I'm personally Elko. She'll be back with me next time she's out on assignment, yes. It's been Rick Kubic solo with you from my hometown, Hegewisch, the southeast side of Chicago, farthest southeast point in Chicago. Here I am in Mann Park. They've really kept it well groomed. Of course, the field house. At one time, I was on top of that field house when I was a teenager, all hopped up on goop. It happens. Everyone does some crazy things, but don't do too many crazy things. Enough said. Enough said. You know, one thing I did see, I saw push-ups. Remember push-ups? In the summertime, you have the sherbet, right? The push-up, it's a round tube. You push up the ice cream and lick it. I just left my house today because my dog loves liver sausage. I said this would be a brilliant idea for lunch. Liver sausage push-ups. Brilliant. See, my mind's thinking. You've been in the front, and we'll see you next time.